Hello, everyone, and welcome to a little interview we thought we'd put together with one of our very special clients, Robert Lloyd from Louder. Welcome, Rob. Lovely to have you with me today.
Hi, Julie. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's great. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this. We thought we would just have a quick chat about all the productivity ninjas in your organisation at Louder. We've now trained everyone at Louder, and it's been a really cool process of seeing you guys embrace the tools and techniques that we teach. And I just wanted to, share some of those learnings with our other ninja community out there. So I would love to know first, maybe you could just explain to everyone a little bit about what you guys do at Louder.
Yeah, sure thing. So Louder's been around since 2015. We position ourselves as being a digital marketing consultancy, and we focus mainly on the advertising side of things. But then there's also other areas in there as well. So marketing automation, analytics, anything around management consulting, around running that activity in-house. And then all of the delivery of those platforms and systems that are needed to run that activity. So we're not quite an advertising agency. We're kind of more of a mini consultancy.
Okay, wonderful. And what made you kind of reach out and talk to us about Productivity Ninja? What was it that you needed within your organisation?
Yeah, that was the point of a really long journey for us. We've always been very, self-optimizing, always looking at the ways that we can improve the way that we do work. Initially, when we were kind of starting out with just a handful of staff, those staff members were organising their projects, everything from signing the statement of work all the way through to the delivery. From there, we started to introduce more project management frameworks to try and get, teams of people working together with our clients. We researched things around like agile versus waterfall. We got our team certified in things like DSDM, agile, PMBOK, all that stuff. And as we started loading up more on, the official project management side of things, we became very versed at that. But as our team got larger, it was kind of more of the practical, tangible, smaller things that they weren't really they weren't being taught by these, by like a diploma of project management. So you got all of the technical skills in how to deliver, but they didn't really get ways to, optimize themselves and to improve their own ways of working. And so we've had a couple of team members, take up the initiative, and they started looking at ways of doing time management techniques or productivity techniques themselves. And that's when, Julie, I think we came to one of your sessions in Sydney, and we sent along our chief technology officer, and he said, I really think this has got opportunity for Louder. So that's how our journey began, interacting with Productivity Ninja.
Yeah, wonderful. And I must say, I think you guys are so creative and so keen to develop new ways of doing things. And it was great to see you embrace a lot of the techniques that we share in our sessions. And it was wonderful because the very first session that I ran for you guys was a full day down at the snow at your team bash back in 2019. Yeah, that was an amazing day down at Thredbo, I think we were.
That's right. So we decided to, when we took stock of that, we used to have like an annual team getaway, and we thought with this one we really needed to start combining, some off-site learning, just to get people into a different headspace and not being distracted by the emails or their phones or the office. Back in the days when we had offices, remember those?
Oh yeah.
So yeah, we basically got everyone together. And what you took us through was just an amazing, day, going through the Productivity Ninja techniques. We then also had one of your other sessions called Inbox to Zero. So I guess just framing those things, I was talking before about how Louder really started to load up on all of these official project management methodologies. What we had still, despite these frameworks, were different hubs of I guess, well, management hubs. So we had Google Drive, we had Confluence, we had Jira, we had Trello. Then you had people scribbling things down on their notebooks. We already had so much management, but it was almost too much for people. And so I guess the point where we got to is that they were starting to get a bit overwhelmed. Loud is a really confronting place to work if you feel like you have to complete everything. And I know we're not the only one. In other places out there, some workplaces, you have to have the art of the undone. And people who try to do everything, that's when they start to burn out. So you've only got so many hours in a day. And I think what your session really helped us do, Julie, was it helped our team prioritize in unison what was acceptable to be done for that day versus not. And I think the reason why we wanted to make this a team setting was because everyone can go and research their own productivity or time management or energy management techniques, whatever the word is you want to call it. But if there isn't a common understanding of whatever these rules are, you might have somebody who's gone completely dark for the day. And that's a really bad thing because you're used to interacting with that person. And I saw this when some of our team members were trying to do time management techniques individually, and I've seen it with other places and clients. And I think the number one takeaway that I would give is you have to do these things as a team, and it has to be involving management. So we didn't delegate this to any of the teams. The 3 business partners and Louder were there because we had to be, I guess, change managers or change management to make sure that these systems were, I guess, acknowledged, they were discussed. Like we took on board, I'd say probably 3/4 of what the day put forward because there was existing systems that Louders already had. But from there, we basically went back into the business and we agreed as a team, what's the new memorandum, what's the new ways of working between us all. And from there, we went through and we basically embedded these new ways of working into everything from our stand up in the morning, 9 o'clock, everyone sees that, all the way through to just how we celebrate things as a team. How do you communicate openly with other people with your style of working, and people being open to that and accepting of it. So one example was, and this especially became emphasized during COVID, some members of the team just couldn't take meetings between 3 and 4:30 because they were doing the school run. So doing that, we opened up a system where we were saying, we did a survey of what times of the day people were open to doing certain types of work. So this is my going dark time when I just need to get heads down and get on with some stuff. This is when I'm open to meetings. And then these areas here might be flexi time. And that's worked really well for us. And I think businesses that expect the more traditional 9 to 5 style way of working, your team are already up against the wall. COVID's already presenting so many challenges to people personally. And as a business, you really have to try and work with them on that. So that's just one small snippet of something we got out of your session.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. And you've covered quite a lot of ground there, Rob, in terms of the impacts that I saw with your team and the ability for everyone in the organisation to have input into some of those decisions, I think was really important. You guys definitely led from the top in implementing some of those processes. But I think on an individual basis, everyone was empowered to use the tools and bring them to life every day, which I think was so amazing. Were there some key specific practices that you think helped you guys to get through COVID? Because it's interesting, we did our first Team Bash 2019, and then of course we've been pretty much in COVID land since then. So yeah, what sort of tools and techniques have you used that you found most effective?
Yeah, there's been a few that definitely carried over from the pre-COVID world. I'd say what's happened with COVID is that I guess traditionally, for those workplaces that like to keep an eye on their staff, which Louder wasn't one of, but hypothetically, the office environment was a way to prove that they were working. So you could see someone over there, right? They're looking at their screen, they're getting on with something. What's been the new version of that now for some businesses is they can't see what's happening in everyone's home when they're working remotely. So if I don't get instant comms response, or if I don't get evidence of you being at your laptop or whatever it is, you're not working. And I think that some members of our team felt that. So they always had to be instantly on, all of our chat systems. They had to instantly respond to emails, always open the phone calls. Or I guess they felt obliged to because the clients were calling them or what have you. Some of the practices that we found very useful for us was just one of your items just called going dark or dark modes, where it's every morning in our stand up at 9 o'clock, everybody puts into a spreadsheet. It's nothing fancy and just says, I'll be dark from 3 o'clock onwards today because I actually want to get some stuff done. And so I think that's really helped some of the more, I guess, the delivery team. So people who are heads into systems and they can't get distracted because of, there's I think Ian, who's our CTO, talks about task switching debt, which is something that developers often talk about. So in order for you to work on thing A to thing B, it takes about 15 minutes for your mind to get locked into that activity and really start to get into flow again. And that's really what dark mode helped do for us.
Yeah, wonderful. Great examples. And you guys just talk like ninjas all the time. It's wonderful to hear. I think you guys also did things like you started to celebrate as a team a little bit more. I know you were very good at having creative kind of team sessions, but you set up Fridays and stuff as well, which really helped people to celebrate successes and be a little bit more human, not superhero.
Yeah, we did. I think this kind of comes back to when we loaded up really heavily on project management systems. Every meeting was either a stand-up or it was a whip or a sprint planning or what have you. What we needed to get back, and it's really hard to get it organically, but we needed to get back more of that team banter and the downtime. So by doing this, we introduced something called Friday, which was done every fortnight on a Friday. It was a bit of a two-way forum. So it was like the management team giving a bit of an update to the business, but it was also the team, I guess, bringing to the surface things which they may have worked in particular groups on in the business and they haven't surfaced it to everyone, or even more so, things that they've been working on individually, remotely, because it's really hard now to look over at someone's screen or for them just to say, hey, I just built this new Python script. What do you think? We found that introducing this forum really raised a lot of gems for us that not even just management, I think just all of our colleagues had no idea that some of the things that our team were building. It's also, I think, it's important to manage, I guess, energy. Energy is a currency. If it's not, it doesn't just come from nowhere. It has to be injected through some way. And I think what Friday does is it allows inspiration to be shared and to get that back, because I think otherwise everything's always about the task or the status. And if something gets delivered on time, it's kind of an expectation from a project manager. You typically don't get a well done if something was just done to brief or to scope. It can be pretty daunting system to work in if you're under that type of management. So yeah, Fridays are really good at just celebrating things that needed to be celebrated.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And it's obviously something, that we talk about a lot from a productivity ninja perspective, that idea that, we need our brain chemistry to be working well for us. And the more we celebrate those successes, the more positivity we bring, the better our teams do, and the better we are in our productive space, as well as our sense of well-being. That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. And I wanted to just, I guess, reflect on our most recent catch-up that we had, which happened to be between New South Wales going back into lockdown and Victoria coming out of lockdown. So we did manage to do the next team bash in end of June, wasn't it? Yeah, end of June.
Yep.
up in the Hunter Valley, with the Victorian team making it and the Sydney team actually being in lockdown in Sydney.
So, it was a bit ironic.
Wasn't it? It was really
very,
ironic.
very
and it
unfortunate.
Yeah. And I was kind of caught somewhere in between, being from the Central Coast. So I did manage to get to you guys. And we spent another wonderful day kind of refreshing on some of the ninja skills and doing some new stuff around fixing meetings.
Yep.
I guess I'm obviously, I just loved being with you guys again and getting that lovely energy that you guys have as a team. And obviously we brought some of the newbies up to scratch in terms of their ninja skills before that day. But I really wanted to know from you, Rob, what made you come back again? What made you come back and do this ninja program twice, as it were?
Yeah, sure. So from the first time that we did our session in Threadbow, I guess it touches on a point I made previously, is that you have to do this thing as a unit, as a team. If you have one person that's really into self-improvement and they're incredibly productive, if they don't have those same common understanding, same rules with their team, the team can, I guess, drag that person down. So what was really valuable for us from Threadbow was that we understood this not only as a team, we understood it also as a management team, and we were able to help change and let go of any resistance to change that there was in the team. People operate every day because they're trying to protect themselves, generally speaking. So, for example, if somebody's really, struggling with capacity and they have a lot on their plate, they may try to avoid, problem-solving conversations or certain topics where it doesn't look like they're coming up with a solution, because they might be lumped with solving that problem. And so I don't know, maybe some of our listeners have had that happen to them before. So as management, we really need to make sure that those fears are addressed and they're concerned, that they're addressed and solved. And that's what doing this item together really allowed us to do. So there was a huge amount of buzz after Threadbow. It really got the team motivated and excited, and you could actually see that there was a massive tangible difference in just team happiness after it, just because they were able to talk about how they work. And so that's why we got you back for the second session, because we wanted to have that forum that was opened up. It also, as a management team, removes us from the conversation, because it's really handy having an independent facilitator such as yourself, Julie, because you can kind of ask the team and the management on the same playing field. And of course, coming from you, it's a lot more objective. So I think that the team don't feel as though they're being pressured. If you have someone from management saying to the team, how do you think you can work better? They might feel as though they're being set up for a trap or something like that, unfortunately. So yeah, just there were a couple of things that really ticked together. It was independent facilitation. It was the team discussing things as a team. And then because the management were there, we were able to maybe pick up on signals that the team normally may not feel comfortable giving in a group situation. And then we've now been able to go back and to implement things. So one of those items that were really important to us was a meeting manifesto. There is a lot of meetings, there always has been a lot of meetings in Louder, meetings for different reasons. In COVID now, there are potentially more meetings because people need to talk like this. And so what we found was that people had very different styles of what made an effective meeting. And this ties into some of the group psychology or psychometric testing we've done on ourselves, was another project. But for example, some personality types in a meeting just want to get people happy, whereas other personality types want to get something done. And those two types of people trying to get the same thing out of a meeting, they can clash. So yeah, lots of really promising things. And I think if we tried to do this ourselves, we might not be as effective as if we just got in a facilitator like yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, awesome. Understand. Yeah. Well, it was definitely a great session. I think there were some great takeouts and actions for you guys to take away to work on. And I'm glad to hear that you're still working on that meetings manifesto. That's an awesome one.
Yep. Still going.
And yeah, that's good. It does take a while. It takes a while to develop it, doesn't it, and get it quite right. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. That's really valuable. I have one final question for you, which is around, I guess if you have a perspective on this, is how does you as a team, your team, how do I say this? How does being a productivity ninja help you to help your clients?
Yeah, well, everything. In this business, we are the product. Obviously, we deploy some types of technologies or systems, or sometimes we train, but ultimately the product is us. And what we need to do is we have to transfer, I guess, IP or ways of working that's in our heads over to our clients' heads and make sure that it stays there. So if we're not able to get that information out to our clients and transfer that knowledge, then they're not getting the most what they're paying for. So there's a lot to be done with all of our clients and all of our projects. Our clients can be very ambitious and want to transform themselves very quickly. Well, sometimes they have very high targets that they need to achieve in terms of their sales. And so I think by adopting some of these practices, the team are better at prioritizing conflicting interests, or I guess just prioritizing their time. So for example, if we have one client asking us to get something done, the team have got now techniques which they can use in order to, I guess, have a better two-way discussion with that client to maybe separate what's a want versus a need. And they're able to walk them through, I guess, the pros and cons of certain approaches. Whereas before, I think some of the team were very reluctant because they're so accommodating. They're quite reluctant to say no. Other items would be around, especially with your inbox to zero training. Some team members were really a slave to their inbox. That was their number one management system, despite all of the other systems that we had. It meant that they were really reactive. They could get quite high spikes of stress. And I think a lot of the time they were misinterpreting an incoming email as being of utmost priority. And I think your trainings really helped maybe say readjust what their expectation of email is. Because I guess really email is just an electronic form of a letter, just happens quicker now. And so I think people have built up email to be like this ultimate, stress raiser, because it is instant. They know that you've got it instantly, the email. And so that's then time, the clock starts of you ignoring them. So I think just like the techniques you were taking us through, that just really simple things like having an actions folder, a waiting folder and a reading folder. A lot of the team were able to use those and get their inbox literally down to zero. We had people with tens of thousands of emails. It was quite scary. But I think now they're actually able to have triage times. So some of them do a morning session and an afternoon session. And then they will then have an action session to deal with the emails that were inside the actions folder. So even that session within itself has created an entirely different expectation of what email is, because I think that many people are run by their inboxes.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's just one of the ways in which I guess that passes on to our clients, because most of the time the clients wouldn't know or really pick up on the fact if somebody didn't answer an email for 2 or 3 hours. So, so
it kind of resets expectations, doesn't it, around emails? As we talk about the fact that emails are one form of communication. It's not the be all and end all. So that's really great to hear that in practice. I guess that's a really great way of articulating it. Thank you.
Welcome.
So that's all I wanted to chat with you about today, Rob. I just wanted to sort of see how things were going for you guys, and I hope that the ninja culture continues within Louder, and that we get to spend some more time together soon, hopefully at the next Team Bash.
Yes, hopefully, and hopefully we'll have everyone there next time in the flesh. But but yeah, it's been fantastic having you with us, Julie. Just every time we get you involved, the team really get their eyes open to new ways of working. And ultimately, we want to have the happiest team and the most productive team. But I really think what Think Productive's done for us is it's helped offset that real traditional project management thinking with I'm a human being and there needs to be balance in the way that I work and how I manage my energy, my emotions. So I think those two things together is really what's combining to be quite a powerful formula for us. So bring on 2022, hopefully.
Yes, let's hope so. And let's hope that we are past all of this COVID nonsense by then. I think that's the thing, isn't it? And I absolutely hats off to you guys, because you do treat your team like they're family members. You know, you guys have a lot of fun together and you really do take care of each other. And during COVID, that's just so important when we're all working remotely from home or wherever it is we're working. So yeah, keep up the great work, Rob. And thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today.
My pleasure. Thanks, Julie.
Thanks, Rob. See you soon.
Cheers.